What if I told you that the very pain you're running from is the same pain shaping you into someone stronger? What if those nights you cried alone weren't meaningless, but were the fire forging your soul into something unbreakable? What if suffering isn't the enemy of life, but its greatest teacher? Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you may see your scars not as reminders of weakness, but as proof of your hidden strength. At some point in life, all of us whisper the same words into the silence. Why me? Why did I lose the person I loved? Why did betrayal cut me so deeply? Why do I suffer when others seem to live untouched by pain? These questions don't always come in the form of words. Sometimes they're in the hollow ache you feel when your chest tightens, when tears burn but never fall. Sometimes they live in the quiet resentment when you look at others and wonder why their lives appear so effortless. This question, why me, is where most of us stop. We assume suffering is a punishment, a curse, or evidence that life is unfair. But Nietzsche, the philosopher who walked among shadows and fire, offered a different answer. He believed suffering is not proof of life's cruelty, but the very soil in which strength grows. For Nietzsche, suffering wasn't something to avoid. It wasn't a sign that life had gone wrong. Instead, it was the greatest catalyst for transformation. He once wrote, "To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering." What he meant was simple. Pain is inevitable, but despair is optional. Think about the strongest people you've ever known. Were they the ones who lived sheltered lives, untouched by tragedy? Or were they the ones who carried scars, physical, emotional, spiritual, yet still stood tall, still moved forward, still found ways to turn pain into wisdom? Suffering is not the end of the story. It is the beginning. Modern psychology confirms much of what Nietzsche intuited. Pain changes us, not just emotionally, but biologically. When we suffer, our brains activate pathways designed for survival. We become more alert, more sensitive, more aware of the smallest changes around us. Suffering sharpens perception, often making us more empathetic to the pain of others. But there is something else it does. It breaks illusions. Pain has a way of tearing down the lies we tell ourselves. The lie that life will always be comfortable. The lie that people will always stay. The lie that tomorrow is guaranteed. This breaking feels cruel, but in reality, it strips away the fragile walls we build so that we can see truth. And truth, even when painful, is always stronger than illusion. We live in a culture obsessed with comfort. Every advertisement promises a life free from struggle, instant success, quick fixes, endless happiness. We are told that to suffer is to fail, that to feel pain means something is wrong with us. But here is the paradox. The more we chase comfort, the weaker we become. The more we avoid suffering, the less prepared we are when it inevitably arrives. Imagine lifting weights. If you never push against resistance, your muscles never grow. If you avoid all discomfort, your body remains fragile. The same is true for the soul. Without struggle, the soul stays weak, untested, shallow. Nietzsche believed that by avoiding suffering, we avoid life itself, because life, in its rawest form, is a series of trials. Not every trial is fair, not every wound deserved, but every wound has within it the possibility of transformation. Maybe right now you carry a wound so deep it feels like it defines you. Maybe betrayal, loss, or loneliness has carved its name into your chest. And maybe you've told yourself that because of this pain, you are broken. But what if, just for a moment, you believed the opposite? What if this wound is not proof that you're broken, but proof that you're alive, proof that your soul is being reshaped into something stronger. Because in Nietzsche's view, suffering isn't the thief of meaning, it is the birthplace of it. Nietzsche gave the world one of its most famous lines, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." It's a phrase often repeated but rarely understood. People toss it around casually as if it were a slogan for endurance. But Nietzsche meant something deeper. He wasn't saying pain is automatically good. He wasn't romanticizing tragedy. Instead, he was revealing a truth about transformation. Survival alone is not the point. Growth is. Think of a tree in the storm. The wind bends it, nearly breaks it. But the roots dig deeper, the trunk grows tougher, the branches learn to sway. If the storm does not tear it from the earth, the tree emerges stronger, more resilient, more alive than before. The same is true for us. Pain that does not destroy us has the potential to build us. Betrayal can teach us discernment. Loneliness can teach us self-reliance. Failure can teach us wisdom. But here is the condition. We must allow pain to teach. If we close our hearts, if we harden into bitterness, pain only poisons. But if we open, if we endure, pain reshapes us into something unbreakable. At the center of Nietzsche's psychology is the idea of the will to power. This is not just the will to dominate others. It is the will to grow, to overcome, to rise beyond the place where suffering left you. Pain tempts us to stay victims, to sit in the ashes and whisper, "Look what life has done to me." And yes, the hurt is real. The betrayal was unfair. The loss was cruel. But Nietzsche challenges us to ask, will you remain defined by your wounds, or will you rise with them as proof of survival? The will to power is that inner flame, the part of you that whispers, "I will not be broken." It doesn't erase suffering, it doesn't deny it. Instead, it takes the wound and says, "This will not be my grave. This will be my fire." Every great soul, every survivor of unimaginable tragedy, every artist who turned sorrow into beauty, they listened to that flame. They refused to let pain define their end. Instead, they made it the soil of their beginning. Nietzsche once wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star." Chaos, suffering, disorder, heartbreak, despair, these are the storms of life. But out of chaos, stars are born. Out of suffering, brilliance rises. Think of the stories that have moved humanity most deeply. Music written in grief, paintings drawn in solitude, philosophies born in despair. Would these creations exist without pain, or do they exist precisely because of it? When you carry chaos inside you, you are not doomed. You are pregnant with possibility. Your storm can give birth to light. Your wound can become art. Your loneliness can become wisdom that saves another. This is the hidden gift of suffering. It is not just endured, it is transformed. History is filled with voices that prove this truth. Beethoven composed some of his greatest works while deaf, turning the silence of his suffering into symphonies that still move us centuries later. Frida Kahlo, trapped in a body ravaged by injury and illness, painted her pain into canvases that scream with color and honesty. Nietzsche himself, plagued by illness, isolation, and breakdown, gave us words that still ignite souls with courage. Each of these figures carried unbearable suffering, but instead of being destroyed, they turned their pain into something larger than themselves. Their art, their philosophy, their music, all became stars born out of chaos. You may not be a painter, a composer, or a philosopher, but you have the same choice. You can let your suffering remain a silent wound, or you can transform it into something that touches the lives of others. Through kindness, through wisdom, through the way you rise when the world expected you to fall. Pause here. Think about your own scars. Think about the nights you thought you wouldn't survive, and yet, here you are. You may not see it yet, but survival is itself an act of creation. Every day you continue breathing, walking, moving forward, you are creating a life after the storm. And maybe, just maybe, the very thing you thought would end you is the thing giving birth to your dancing star. There is a reason the strongest souls often appear lonely. It is not because they hate people, nor because they chose to be isolated. It is because growth sets them apart. Nietzsche spoke often about the herd, the collective comfort of belonging, where people adopt the same values, the same opinions, the same illusions. The herd gives safety, but it also demands conformity. When suffering enters your life, it does something dangerous. It wakes you up. Pain forces you to see truths others avoid. Betrayal shows you the fragility of loyalty. Loss reveals the impermanence of everything you once clung to. Loneliness strips away the masks you wore to fit in, and suddenly, the herd no longer feels like home. You walk apart. You stand in silence while others chatter about meaningless things. You see through lies others still believe. This is why the strong often walk alone, not because they want to, but because pain has opened their eyes, and once open, they cannot close them again. But here lies the paradox. The very loneliness that hurts you also shapes you. Isolation is the forge where identity is hammered. In solitude, you begin to hear your own voice instead of the noise of the crowd. In solitude, you discover who you are without applause, without validation, without someone telling you what you should be. This silence can feel unbearable. Nights where you stare at the ceiling, haunted by the echo of your own thoughts. Days where no one checks on you and you wonder if you even matter. But this silence is also sacred, because it is in that silence that your true self begins to speak. Nietzsche believed that great souls must endure this solitude, not as punishment but as preparation. Preparation to stand firm when the world pushes back. Preparation to hold on to your truth even when no one stands beside you. Loneliness hurts, but it is also the doorway to authenticity. Nietzsche had a phrase, amor fati. It means love of fate. Not just acceptance, not resignation, but love. A radical embrace of everything that happens to you. Joy, tragedy, betrayal, heartbreak. As necessary. Imagine if you could look at your pain, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Imagine if you could say, this too I love. This too I need. Because without it, I would not become who I am meant to be. This doesn't mean pretending your suffering feels good. It doesn't mean denying the depth of your wounds. It means trusting that the pain has purpose, even if that purpose is not yet clear. Amor fati is the opposite of despair. Despair says, my pain is meaningless. Amor fati says, my pain is my path. Nietzsche asked us to consider a thought experiment, the eternal return. He said, imagine a demon came to you in your loneliest hour and whispered, you must live this life again, exactly as it is. Every joy, every sorrow, every heartbreak, every moment, again and again, for eternity. Would you collapse in despair, or would you embrace it, saying, yes, I would choose it again? This idea is not about literal reincarnation, it is about perspective. If you can live in such a way that even your suffering would be worth repeating, then you have found meaning. If you can say yes, not just to the easy moments, but also to the storms, then you have truly loved your life. The eternal return is terrifying because it forces us to ask, would I accept my suffering as necessary? Would I love my fate enough to live it again? When you can answer yes, you are no longer a victim of pain. You are its master. Think about this for a moment. Every wound you carry, every betrayal, every night of silent tears. Imagine reliving them all, not once, but forever. At first, the thought feels unbearable. But then, what if this is the challenge Nietzsche offers? To live with such courage, such authenticity, such strength, that even your suffering becomes something you would choose again. This is not about enjoying pain. It is about transcending it. It is about becoming so strong that pain no longer diminishes you. It defines you. We've walked through Nietzsche's vision of suffering, not as punishment, but as possibility. But how do you take this from philosophy into your everyday life? How do you actually live it? Let's break it down. Step 1. Stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" When pain strikes, the first instinct is to ask why. Why did they leave me? Why did I fail? Why did I have to lose? But this question, though natural, traps you in the past. Nietzsche would tell us to replace it with "What now?" What can I build from this? What lesson hides inside this suffering? What strength is waiting to be discovered? Step 2. Name the wound. Honestly, pretending you are not hurt doesn't make you stronger. It makes you hollow. The first act of power is to tell the truth. Yes, I am in pain. Yes, I am wounded, because honesty breaks denial, and only from truth can growth begin. Step 3. Refuse the role of the victim. It's tempting to define yourself by your suffering, the betrayed one, the abandoned one, the unlucky one. But Nietzsche would call this slavery of the soul. You are not only your wound, you are the fire that can rise from it. Claim agency. Even if you did not choose the pain, you can choose your response. Step 4. Transform the wound into work. Channel your suffering into something. Write it, draw it, lift it, run it, build it. Every scar can either rot inside you or be poured into creation. As Nietzsche said, to give style to one's character, a great and rare art. You give style to your suffering by shaping it into work, art, or wisdom. Step 5. Embrace amor fati. Finally, do not just endure the pain. Embrace it. Say, "This too belongs to my story. This too is necessary." When you love even the darkest chapters, your soul becomes unconquerable. Because nothing, not betrayal, not loss, not despair, can take away the power of a person who loves their fate. Scars are often seen as flaws. We cover them, hide them, apologize for them. But what if your scars are your medals? What if every scar is proof that you stood in the storm and survived? Think of the Japanese art of kintsugi. When a bowl breaks, instead of discarding it, the pieces are mended with gold. The cracks do not disappear. They shine brighter than the original surface. The break becomes beauty. The flaw becomes strength. Your scars are your kintsugi. They tell the story of survival. They tell the story of a soul that refused to end where it was broken. You may carry emotional scars, rejection, abuse, betrayal. You may carry physical scars, but each one whispers the same truth. You were hurt, but you were not destroyed. Nietzsche would tell us that scars are not shameful. They are sacred, because only the scarred know the full depth of life. Only the scarred know what it means to walk through darkness and emerge into light. Take a moment to look at your own scars, the visible ones, the invisible ones. Instead of wishing them away, imagine them filled with gold. Imagine them not as ugly reminders, but as shining evidence of strength. Because in the end, suffering does not weaken the soul that embraces it. It deepens it. It transforms pain into power, scars into symbols, and despair into meaning. We have walked together through the valleys of suffering, through Nietzsche's vision of pain not as punishment, but as transformation. We've seen how wounds can become wisdom, how chaos can give birth to stars, how loneliness can reveal the true self, how scars can shine like gold. But now I want to turn this back to you. Yes, you, because it's one thing to listen to philosophy, to nod your head at the beauty of these ideas. It's another thing to look at your own pain and whisper, "This is me. This is my story, and I will not let it end in despair." You may feel weak, you may feel tired, you may feel as if the weight of suffering is too much for you to carry. But let me tell you a secret. The fact that you are still here, still listening, still breathing, means you are already stronger than you think. Strength is not the absence of suffering. Strength is not living a life free of wounds. Strength is surviving anyway, rising anyway, creating anyway. Nietzsche believed that the greatest souls are not the ones who never fell, but the ones who kept standing after every fall, the ones who refused to stay down, the ones who made their pain into power. And that same strength lives in you. Think about the moments that broke you. Maybe it was betrayal by someone you trusted. Maybe it was the silence of loneliness that made you feel invisible. Maybe it was failure so heavy that you thought you'd never rise again. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still alive, still capable of growth, of love, of becoming. Every scar you carry is proof that you did not break. Every tear you cried is proof that your soul still had the courage to feel. Every moment of despair you survived is proof that your story is not over. You are not defined by what hurt you. You are defined by the strength that rose from it. So here is my challenge to you. The next time you look at your scars, physical or emotional, do not see weakness, see survival. Do not see shame, see strength. Do not see endings, see beginnings. Because the truth is this: pain creates stronger souls, and yours is stronger than you know. But don't keep this truth to yourself. Somewhere out there, someone you love is carrying a wound they think will destroy them. Share this video with them. Let them know that their suffering does not make them broken. It makes them human. It makes them capable of becoming more than they ever imagined. And if this spoke to you, if it reminded you of your own hidden strength, let me hear from you in the comments. Tell me, what suffering shaped you into who you are today? What pain forged your soul into something stronger? Your story might be the light someone else is waiting for. So like this video, share it, and leave your truth below. Together, let's build a space where scars are not hidden, but honored, where suffering is not silenced, but transformed, where souls are not weakened, but made stronger through fire. Because in the end, Nietzsche was right. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find meaning in the suffering, and you are already surviving. Now it's time to create meaning. As you leave this video, carry this with you. Your pain is not wasted. Your suffering is not meaningless. Every wound, every scar, every heartbreak is a thread in the fabric of a stronger soul. And when the next storm comes, because it will, remember this: the storm is not your enemy. It is your teacher. The chaos is not your curse. It is the birthplace of your dancing star. So walk forward, not with fear, but with courage, not with bitterness, but with love, not with despair, but with the fierce knowledge that your suffering is shaping you into something unbreakable. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are becoming, and that is the greatest gift suffering can give.